Now, further on those world events, shall we pick up where we left off? As always, I'm spoilt for choice this week when it comes to a world seemingly gone bat beep crazy. Now, we began last week's show with the sickening events in Amsterdam. It was happening as we went to air. Every single thing I said was true. Jews were being hunted in the streets and assaulted. But of course, as they do, the pro-Hamas, anti-basically everyone else except terrorist types came at me with their pitchforks. Not literally, of course, they saved that for Jewish people, for now. And I paraphrase because it's hard to directly quote their vulgar attacks. You got it wrong. They started it. Israeli fans were pulling down flags and chanting awful things. Now, hooligans at football matches, it's nothing new and unfortunately happens all over the world. Was this just that? No, it wasn't. Is it ever okay to rip down flags and chant atrocities? Absolutely not. I've spent much of the past year condemning it. The way some Israeli fans acted prior to the match was appalling. I'd equate it, in fact, to the disgusting behaviour I've seen thousands of times over the past year aimed at Israel. Let's have a little recap, shall we, of two things, because if I'm to believe those defending what occurred after the match in Amsterdam, that the Jews started it, if they are right, and that the retaliation was not only justified but deserved, then surely no one would be naive enough to assume it wouldn't apply equally to both, right? So, since October 7, a little compilation of the pulling down of posters of hostages, burning of Israeli and Western flags, the yelling of hateful chants. Take a look. Okay, so I don't think anyone can argue that what we just saw and what we've seen wasn't just as bad, if not significantly worse, than what Israeli fans did prior to the football match. So now, if the justification is real and valid, then let's go to the vision that must exist of Israeli and Jewish revenge attacks. Surely, there'd be thousands. I mean, they started it. Did you see what they did and they said? This is going to be hard to watch. Anyone being hunted down based on their ethnicity or religion, then beaten up, is going to be horrific. Have a look. No? Not one justified revenge attack because they started it? After thousands of relentless attacks on property and innocent people who were the victims of a horror terror attack 14 months ago? Surely, as they are trying to argue, the justified retaliation would be widespread, hunting in packs, demanding proof of race, religion, then violent attacks. No, not one. It's not even subtle anymore, guys. If an African-American man was an idiot at a football match, would opposing fans launch a hunt of only African-American people in retaliation? If a Hindu woman was an idiot at a football match, would opposing fans launch a hunt of all the Hindu people they could find? If a Catholic man, you get my drift. If any other religious group was being hunted in the streets on video, this is not allegedly, it's on video, would anyone in the world, especially lefty lunatics who proclaim to have the moral authority on human rights, ever try to argue context? They started it. Never. The premise of the argument is utterly ridiculous. Not to mention the intelligence warnings of premeditated, that means pre-planned, by the way, attacks before anything was said and done by anyone. Give us a break. At least they used to try and disguise their anti-Semitism. They've given up even trying that. If you'd come to me and pitched this, right, think about everything that's happened since October 7. As a plot to a fictional movie, like, you know, these people got attacked, babies were killed, burned, the whole thing, it was horrible, women raped. Then the whole world supported the terrorists who did it and continued to attack the victims. I'd say to you, no, even as a fiction, it would be implausible. No one would believe it. It would be ridiculous. But here we are, in real life, watching crazy play out. And what about this? And a warning, this vision is truly awful. Thousands of hours of tape has been released publicly of innocent Palestinians being tortured. It's gruesome. It's so hard to watch. It is sickening. So given how desperately so many claim to care only for innocent lives in Gaza, has nothing to do with hating Israel, they say, let's now go to all the protests that no doubt must have occurred this week against the people hurting innocent Palestinians. Hamas, the terrorists. No, nothing. Hamas is responsible for every single death in Gaza since October 7 and many before, but some people are too blind to see that, too indoctrinated. So I assumed the irrefutable video evidence of Hamas in the process of actually hurting innocent Palestinians would have been mind-blowing for them, like eye-opening, sparked a massive uproar. I mean, you can't refute it, it's there on video. Of course not. Because they are not who they say they are, and it's not about what they say it is. Come on. The vision of kids in Gaza is excruciating to watch. I get it. It's sickening. Some of the babies I saw this morning, toddlers looking for their parents, it is gut-wrenching. You know what will end their pain immediately? Not a fanciful ceasefire allowing the terrorists to regroup, more hostages to die, and this to repeat over and over and over again. No, it can end now. Release the innocent men, women and children currently in tunnels and lay down your arms. Hamas, that's it. It's up to them. This will fall on deaf ears, I know, but I'll say it anyway. If what all of you protesters are saying is true, or the part that you care about and you're fighting for innocent people in Gaza, then aren't we all on the same side? Don't we all have the same enemy? Imagine, just imagine if the rest of the world was united in this fight against evil. Put pressure on them. Imagine the difference it would make if we stood collectively against terror rather than so many of us with it. We'd have the hostages home, peace in the Middle East, the kind of safe and secure existence every child there deserves. Terrorism cannot exist nor thrive without three things. 1, useful idiots. 2, weak leaders. And 3, silent majorities. Now, all three combined, well, that's lethal. So take control of what you can, just you. Are you silent? Don't be. We can't make an immediate difference to weak leaders or useful idiots. They are just a write-off. But guess what? If we can just nail the third, everyday people speaking up for what is right, the rest will follow suit. Just like the terrorists, weak leaders need useful idiots and silent majorities to survive as well. Don't let them, particularly the latter. So don't be complicit. Don't be a bystander. Not to get too philosophical, but as American anthropologist Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Drown out the idiots and reject weak leaders at the ballot box, or we will soon reach a point of no return. And if that comes, then God help not only the Jews, but the rest of us. The start of this story is not new. We have seen it all before. Don't let the ending be the same, or potentially, if you can imagine, even worse.